So just a few thoughts regarding the last few days, the last weekend in particular, with the nationalist rally, the anti-paedophile rally outside the Dáil, which I think was a good success, even though it was largely ignored by the media. You know, it was pretty well attended, and the response was very good, and you know, the attempts to disrupt the rally from the radical left were thwarted. So a few comments to make in regard to that. So, you know, there was the whole thing with the noose banner and Justin's speech, you know, which did go down well generally, but personally I think the noose and the imagery and the idea of hanging paedophiles, while it might appeal to a certain percentage of people like us, it's simply not a vote winner, you know. In fact, it's going to repulse most ordinary people. So in my view, this was pretty unwise to go down that road of the noose and talking about hanging paedophiles, despite the fact that it was pretty well received by the audience there at the time. You know, going on from that, then you had Gemma's stream, and I guess you could say the controversy about Gemma being apparently asked not to attend, and the fallout from that, you know. And I watched Gemma's stream afterwards, and I know there are people, quite a few people on the nationalist side, who are huge Gemma supporters, and there's no doubt she has done some fantastic work at times over the last year and a half. But she's also done some incredibly damaging things too. You know, she is an exceptionally divisive figure. And you want to look at, like, of all the nationalist figures, like, Gemma is almost roundly derided. You know, she is almost roundly hated by a significant percentage of people, a significant percentage of normies. We're not even talking radical lefties here, we're talking about the average people. There's a lot of average, ordinary people who cannot stand Gemma. Like, they absolutely hate her. You want to see some of the stuff on Facebook about Gemma, I mean, it's appalling. You know, and this is Gemma's own fault. Gemma has created this. You know, from some of the very inflammatory rhetoric that she comes out with, to the stuff that you know, we know is not, I mean, it's called conspiracy theories by the media and so on, and we know there is a basis for quite a lot of this stuff, but it's electoral hemlock. It's electorally toxic for the vast majority of people. So it's incredibly unwise to start going on about 5G and chemtrails and you know, even vaccines. Like, we're, you know, and there is, I know there is some basis to this, to concerns for this, and fluoride and so on, but normies are so far away from being aware of this, and they just consider this stuff fringe extremist carry on. So if you're going to make this stuff front and center of your campaign, forget it. Good night, Irene. It's not happening. The average punter is not gonna touch this stuff with a barge pole, and they're going to think you're a fringe loony at best, or, you know, some sort of xenophobe at worst. So yeah, this is, in my opinion, Gemma is going about things completely the wrong way, you know. Like I said, despite some of the very good work she's done in the past, I still find it extraordinary how little awareness she has of the impact of some of her actions. Like, you know, the perceptions that creates of her, whether it be you know, the grilling of that Muslim guy in that shop in Longford, to the way she calls people thugs, calling the Gardaí thugs, calling you know, solicitors thugs, calling the Twitter nationalist YouTuber Chopper, calling him a thug. I mean, this is crazy stuff. This is ludicrous. Like, I mean, you know, there's times when I think Gemma has lost the plot. You know, and it's like, she's clearly an intelligent woman. She's clearly a very capable woman. But honestly, I don't know where she's going with some of this stuff. She has zero awareness of perceptions, of how she is perceived by people, and I know some people take the piss out of this term, but she has zero awareness of optics, of how her actions and some of the things she says come across to ordinary people. And this is why Gemma will never ever get elected. She hasn't got hope of getting elected. I'm not saying any of the other nationalists have either, but maybe in time they will have, but Gemma certainly hasn't. You know, I don't and I don't want to be offensive to anyone else who's a nationalist and who likes Gemma, but in my opinion, Gemma has done more damage to the nationalist side than anyone. And I know Justin doesn't help himself with these noose carry on and even slogans like Ireland for the Irish, even though it doesn't bother me, and I personally see nothing wrong with it. But for Ireland, where 20% of people are non-Irish, where everyone knows or works with or is friends with, or maybe even has people in their family who are non-Irish, coming out with Ireland for the Irish is straight away perceived as being anti-foreigner. Now I know that's not how it's meant to be perceived, but I'm just telling you how the average punter perceives that phrase. They perceive it to be anti-foreigner. And you come on saying Ireland for the Irish, because they think that means Ireland only for the Irish. Now I know it doesn't mean that, you know it doesn't mean that, but the average punter thinks it means that, and perception is king. And like I said, this is why Gemma's approach is so toxic. I know that's kind of an SJW word, but it's true. For the vast majority of punters in Ireland, Gemma is perceived as toxic, and that's not going to change anytime soon unless Gemma has some sort of 180 in terms of her approach, and even then she's got a lot of damage to undo. So that's my thoughts on things at the moment. I don't think any of the nationalist leaders are perfect, but I think Gemma is the most divisive and the most inflammatory. And Justin, for all his inspirational speeches at times, lets himself down with when he goes all in with talking about hanging paedophiles. So a lot of work to be done still on the nationalist side. I mean, we're sort of learning as we go. Hopefully in time we'll get a better a more focused, a more effective approach, but that's what I've got to say for now, folks. So talk again soon.